What up, y'all? This is Wes and I'm Warren and we're Valstand Recording Studio. Check this out. Oh shit. Oh,
So Valstand is a Swedish word for prosperity. And how we came across that was I was looking through an IKEA catalog and something said word of the day, Valstand. Of course it's pronounced different in Swedish, but it means prosperity, to be well, work hard, the fruits of your labor being good. Simple.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he called me that same morning at IKEA and he was like, hey, check this out. We should if we're ever gonna start a business or anything music, it should be this word. He showed me Valstand and I was like, the hell is that? No one's gonna know what that is. And then he's like, no dude, trust me. Maybe like years later we were trying to come up with the name for the studio and I was still like, man, what is that word? That doesn't make sense. Like it's not gonna go. And then I started doing like a design on it and you know it kicked in. I was like, man, that shit sounds tight, right? If the word sounds tight, or if it sounds tight, that's what a studio is, right? We sound tight, you know, so the name sounds tight. But then again, like, you know, it totally makes sense as the title, because, you know, our goal was to, you know, basically prosper, you know, coming from low end of living, you know what I mean? But it really plays out well, you know what I'm saying?
Originally, we're from Los Angeles, 6 hours down, man. I came up here maybe about 2.5 years ago, something like that. And how long you been here?
Man, dang, I've been here 5 years. You know, we came down here for educational opportunities. There were some schools that I wanted to go out here, but you know, school didn't really pay off. You know, now I'm not in the major that I was originally in. But you know, I'd say it was worth coming up here. I felt like, you know, there's a reason for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I went to school for audio engineering.
Actually, he didn't go to class. This guy ditched, like, you know. But, you know, at the same time, like, the teachers were hella impressed. I would go to his school, and everyone just knew this guy. Like, oh, it's Wes. He's that guy. Like, he's the one teaching the teacher, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So if you ever hear the stories, you know, ask Wes about it when you meet him. Oh, together?
Shoot, when we started, I'd say one of the earliest ones is when we were 12.
Yeah.
I was playing the drums, and he was playing the guitar.
Yeah.
Like a week later, we realized we fucking sucked. So
fucking
what we
suck
did,
at these issues.
we switched. I ended up playing guitar, he ended up playing drums, and
Bang,
we
bang.
just kicked it from there.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and another good childhood memory besides, you know, wait, how early childhood are you asking for? So back in high school, me and Wes, what happened was we went viral. I wrote the song called the Tumblr Song, and Wesley had a couple of songs and singles too going out. And what happened was, I wrote this song, and it went viral within like the YouTube community, and we ended up hitting 75,000, 165, 75,000 on some of the videos, and we ended up dropping out of high school, kind of, you know what I mean? So we ended up maybe at 16 or 17 we traveled. This guy traveled like all over the West Coast, some of the East Coast, you know, and we were doing our thing at 16. And part of that going on in our lives, the experience of being an artist as well, on top of in the music industry, you know, it really plays well, because now it's affected us today. Like, we know what we're looking for, or how are you going to present this to your audience, you know what I mean? So a lot of that plays well. That's a good childhood memory to us, you know, because it affected our lives later, you know, and we ended up here out in Sac. So what happened was, we were broke as shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were broke as shit. We quit our jobs. We just weren't happy. Like, this guy was making like, what, 150 grand a year. I was a head mechanic for a facility. You know, we got good jobs, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was paying. But we weren't happy, you know, like in high school, like, you know, all we did was we loved to make music and perform music for free too. Some shows we didn't get paid, fuck the money, we just loved doing it. You know what I mean? So when we started jobs, we were like, holy crap, we're not happy, you know. We're 3 years down the line in professional careers, and we're like, man, what are we gonna do? So we quit our jobs and we started driving Lyft and Uber. It was worth it. Like, a lot of people would tell you like, oh, you don't make much. It's not about making much, you know what I mean? What we did in those car rides, we played our music. We started making music again since we had a lot of downtime. You know, we were driving Lyft and Uber. We worked whatever we wanted. We said, screw it, like, you know, let's make music again. And what we were gonna do, we were gonna play our music for people in the cars as we drive them from location to location. You know what I mean? But the frequent question that we kept on getting asked was like, yo, y'all got a studio? Because, you know, that it sounds tight. And at first, the studio wasn't built, you know, for anyone. You know, it was for us because, you know, we wanted to make it as artists, which we still plan to do. But, you know, out here, people are like, you need, I got a studio, I'll pay you for our time. Me and Wes looked at each other like, should we do that? Like, you know, is that something that we would love to do? You know, and this career kind of took place on its own, you know what I mean? And from that point on, like, boom, we started doing our thing.
Right, we were presented an opportunity, and by luck, we ended up just recording for a couple friends here and there, who showed other friends, who showed more friends, and we ended up just taking it on a roll from one person to the next. Yeah. And finally establishing social media. Hey, Warren, let's make an Instagram. We decided to do that, and then I want to say 2-3 months later, we were getting DM after DM. Hey, how much is your studio time? Where you guys located? And it got so hectic, Warren had to make it a full-time job.
Yeah, and you know, Instagram though, like, you know, I learned something. Like, the first time we had someone to the studio, coming to the studio, I decided, hey, like, I'm gonna put this guy on. Like, you know, I'm gonna tag him. And what happened was the guy tagged me back, put me on, and I was like, man, like, I kind of learned, like, the more you show love, that love's gonna come back. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue to do this. Like, I don't have any followers at the time. You know, I was like, I'm just gonna put people on, you know, because maybe it'll help somehow. You know what I mean? And other artists come here. We're like, okay, what if we get them to network? You know, because that's the biggest thing. You got to build those steps in your ladder. You know what I mean? So I was able to put people on. They were putting me back on, even if they didn't put me on. You know what I mean? I said, fuck it, I'm gonna put you on because, you know, you need it. I know what it feels like to be an artist. You need a network. You know what I mean? So the more exposure you get, the more you get heard. You know, the more either you have an audience or now you have more people to work with to create more crap. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what we did, and that's what we're known for. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.